Hey, deserved listeners, 90 Day Fiancé, The Other Way, the episode from this week. Let's watch.
Don't understand you, Sadhna.
कुछ नहीं आता कुछ नहीं हुआ बेकार है
Okay.
you
Oh, you.
you
To my surprise, the vibe that I'm getting from Sumit's mom right now is actually very positive. And
So, what do I say here? Well, it's a continuation of what was happening last week, and the mom is trying to help her to learn how to cook in a traditional Indian fashion, I believe. And she doesn't know that, naturally. She's been in India for a long time, so, maybe she could have had an opportunity, but it's fine. She also says that she doesn't really know how to cook that well. It sounds like she doesn't really take a lot of pride in that, which is fine. I don't either. I'm not good at cooking, and so what are you going to do? But the mom is saying, and then the mom is in Hindi saying, "You're useless. You're no good at thing," and saying it in Hindi. And I think the mom knows that Jenny doesn't understand that. And what do we say to this? Well, I will say that I developed an hypothesis as to what's going on here, as to why the mom, in my eyes, is so rigid. And because I've been really trying to figure that out, that, there's obviously a cultural difference and a cultural value that is different than where I'm from in Seattle, and I think for Jenny as well, as opposed to where they're from in India. And people will comment below and say that there's a totally different expectation, totally different hope that you have for your children, for your son, and for how families help each other later in life, that kind of thing. But I don't know. But it's possible that sexism plays a role. And someone actually commented below and illuminated this notion to me. And I started to kind of go down this road and came up with the following hypothesis, which I don't know if it's true, but to me, it's the only satisfying hypothesis I have yet, which is that for the mom, she grew up in a sexist society or a particular society that, and people would comment below informing me of this, that her only purpose in life in their society is to serve her husband and her husband's her husband's parents. And from a very early age, she was groomed to become a good housewife, even though the mom might have wanted to do other kinds of things, or at least additional things. But it was like, no, your only worth is how well you serve your husband and how well you serve your husband's family, particularly his parents, particularly his mom. And she feels that pressure, but there's no way out. She's totally, inundated by those cultural messages, and it hurts. It's limiting, it's harmful, it's damaging, but you deal with it because what else are you going to do? And you resent it, but you go along with it because what else are you going to do? And you start to internalize the abuser, the abusive messages that you don't matter. You don't have any dreams. You're a woman. You're supposed to be a servant to your husband and to his parents. And then she gets married. She says, okay, fine. I'll make the best of it. I'll do what I can, and I'll eke out some happiness within it. I'll have kids, Then she's thinking, though, eventually the roles will be reversed. I will have a daughter-in-law, and I'll be able to foist everything on her because I've been dealing with this for 55 years, 60 years. And I'll be damned if my final 20 years on this planet, I'm still dealing with this. And so I'm just waiting for someone else to come along in the way that I relieved my mother-in-law's duties. Someone else is going to come along and she will relieve my duties, and I'll finally be able to relax. And I'll be damned if that woman, Jenny, isn't going to do that for me. And she can't because she's older than me. Because she will die, and then I will have to continue to take care. This idea that she keeps saying is like, Sumit, who's going to take care of you in your old age? Who's going to take care of you? There's a possibility that the mom is thinking, I will have to take care of you because that's my duty. But I was under the impression that at some point a daughter-in-law would come along and I wouldn't have to constantly take care of you all the time. It wouldn't be my constant responsibility. And then again, the internalized abuser starts happening of like, that's all that women are worth, is maybe what she even believes. And so she's like, Jenny just comes along, this American who has this other idea of even what a wife is supposed to be, and she's older than me, and it just completely ruins the whole scheme. Now, we know that Sumit has a brother, and so and getting married or has been married, and the mom has another daughter-in-law, but we don't really know what that situation. Maybe you need more daughters-in-law, as many as you can get. But that hypothesis would explain why the mom is so rigid. Not only is it the cultural indoctrination idea that that's what you're supposed to do, and anything other than that is wrong, but it'll also add a desperation to it, where you could even imagine someone becoming suicidal and demoralized and depressed if they're like, I'm never going to be able to relinquish this role as the servant to every man around me. I have to be this role for the rest of my life. I can't do it anymore. I'd rather end this life than to think about that. So maybe that's an element to it. And I think that that's absolutely possible. Let me know what you think in the comments.
You were not much interested in cooking.
I think I was. I was paying attention.
सिखाने की कोशिश भी की होगी, लगता सीखनी है, कोशिश भी नहीं करती। मैंने कहा पूरियां डाल दे और निकाल पूरियां, कहती नहीं, मेरे बस की नहीं, जिम्मेदारी से पीछे हटती है।
Yikes. So I haven't been showing the clips, but they were in the kitchen cooking together. They don't understand each other at all. So the mom is giving instructions in Hindi, and Jenny is like, I don't know what you're saying. And, I'd give Jenny a lot of praise because she's making the best of it. She's looking on the bright side. She's like, yeah, I think things went okay. And, oh, this is good food. And, yeah, maybe I could make this. It looks like Jenny's not super into cooking, and which is totally fine, by the way. I'm not super into cooking, as I was saying earlier. Anyway, so the mom now is summarizing what's happening, and she's saying she's not into cooking. She doesn't know what she's doing. It's like she's cooking a new dish she's never cooked before. She's using equipment that's not she's not familiar with, because I think their equipment is different. She doesn't understand what you're saying. She gave it her best shot seemingly, and you're just saying she's a loser. And the mom is saying, I don't know if they're translating. Let me know if they're translating it accurately. But there's a lot of really hurtful language that the mom, abusive language, I would say. If Jenny heard what the mom is saying, I mean, just imagine yourself. Your mother-in-law comes over to your house, is trying to teach you a dish, and is just like criticizing you, not only who you are, but not only what you're doing, but who you are as a human being. Just like, you are a loser, you are irresponsible because you don't understand what she's saying, because you literally don't understand each other's languages. So it's looking like the mom is still on this mission to get rid of Jenny, and she's not there in good faith. And thank God Jenny didn't say, yeah, let's have her move in, because like this first day is looking like the mom is not. Because if the mom, the mom's mission was, I'm going to go into the house and I'm going to okay, fine, I'll teach Jenny how to be a good, daughter-in-law, how to be a good wife to my son. If this is how she's going to go about that instruction, which I have to say is a no start, there's no way to have it work out because they don't speak each other's language. But even if they did, one, either she's extremely abusive in her language, I think. If it's hard to know if they're, because from what I understand, 90 Day Fiancé is not great with the translations, or number two, the mom is there to she's not there in good faith. She's actually there to try to push Jenny out. So let's see how this goes.
I clean the floor, I wash the dishes. I do everything. Dusting.
बाकी खाना बनाना, डस्टिंग करना ही एक इंडियन लेडी के लिए नहीं है। समाज की जिम्मेदारियां, रिश्ते मेहमान आ गया उसकी रिस्पेक्ट करना, मेहमान आ गया तो उसको चाय देना, पानी.
Okay, but she's American. Maybe she's been in India for a long time, so one might think that she would at least know of the customs. Now, I will say Jenny doesn't have to follow the customs, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like the mom's on a mission to get rid of Jenny, and there's no real. Now, maybe the mom is. Maybe the mom's like, look, I'm trying hard here, and she is a loser. I don't think the mom came into the situation actually wanting to see positive change. I think she was pretty determined And I just have to say, I mean, the amount of sexism involved, I mean, like, Summit's right there. The two of them are Sumit and Jenny are able-bodied people. Now, I guess there's a scenario where Sumit is doing all the housework and Jenny's doing nothing. You know, Jenny's not working, she's not doing any housework. Okay. But the way it makes it sound, it's that we're trying to make Jenny into like a 1950s housewife who serves her husband and does all the cleaning and all the cooking and all the, you know, serving everybody, which, I don't know. I mean, there's a fine line between being a good guest or being a good host, being a good spouse who has equal amount of labor. You know, me and my wife, for example, we both try to divvy up, you know, you do this, I do that. I don't know if it's always equitable because I, as a guy, might assume some things are like, well, you know, like one of the things that research shows and one of the things that my clients would show is that when you have heterosexual relationships and you ask the guy, you ask the man, is it 50-50 in terms of labor in the house and, you know, every out of everything that you have to do? A lot of men will say, yeah, it's about half. You ask the women, it's like, she'll be, no, it's not half. I'm doing 80% of the work. Because of that sexist assumption, you know, that men feel like an example of this is when parenting. Not every family is like this, and it's getting better for sure. But in heterosexual relationships, you'll find that the woman is parenting and the man is helping with the parenting. It's like, why is he helping? You know, they should both be parenting, you know? So, I don't know what's going on here, but I guess I had a sliver of hope that the mom was coming here to actually try to, you know, bridge the gap, but it's not looking that way.
जेनी को ये समझाना बहुत जरूरी है उनको। बहुत बड़ा सर्कल है हमारा, बहुत बड़ी फैमिली है, मेहमान आएंगे, आपको देखेंगे, स्माइल करेंगे, मजाक उड़ाएंगे, क्रिटिसाइज भी करेंगे।
They will make you fun. People will make you fun.
Yeah, so I don't doubt that. I mean, given the way that the parents are, and given the way that they talk about their community, given the way that the brother is, Sumit's brother is, you know, because the parents are saying, if you have guests over to your house, they're going to make fun of you. I just have to say, like, just imagine that if the roles were reversed. Like, there was an Indian woman who came to the United States, was married, and Americans came over, and yeah, I guess we could imagine that, right? Like Rebecca and Ziad, Rebecca's daughter's husband, you know, that guy, you know, Ziad lands he starts laying into him. So I guess we can't imagine Americans doing that. But either way, it's wrong. It's like, why? Like, let it go. Can't you just accept people for who they are? It's awful.
लोग भाई बहू कितनी बुड्ढी है, बताओ ये सब सहन कर सकोगे? बताओ।
People will come and caution you about the age difference and will make fun.
Okay.
Will say wrong stuff, smile at you, laugh at you.
Yeah. Jenny's like, all right, we're back here again. I just wish Jenny had an ally and you know, Sumit kind of is, I suppose, but I wish Jenny had her daughter there to just be like, look, Mom, you don't have to take this crap. Just this constant harping on the age difference. Yes, we get it. She's older than Sumit. Let it go. Okay, and yes, I guess society in this town is that's all they're going to see. And they're going to just make fun of me. They're just going to, you know, joke about my age all the time. I mean, if that's what these people are like, my God, get a life. There's other things to worry about than someone else's relationship and there being an age difference. Like, golly, let it go.
Will you be able to handle that?
No.
भाई कितनी दादी लग रही है, सुमित grandmother.
I am not old enough to be his grandmother. I'm old enough to be his mother, not his grandmother, okay? I
mean, that's not the best defense, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. It's awful. It's bullying. It's like societal bullying. Fine, you have a cultural thing. In the United States, we have a age difference bias that is ridiculous. Who cares? There's, 20, 30 years different. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Look at Kenny and Armando. There's like something like a 30-ish year difference. They're fine. Just let it go, people. It's okay. I've said this before. Listen to my whole deep dive, age difference in relationships. I looked at all the research. I looked at all the angles. There is nothing wrong in any way, shape, or form with a difference in age. People will say, well, different stages of life. Okay, but as I always say, what if you have two people, one person, two 30-year-olds that meet, that one of them has 5 kids from a previous relationship, and the other one is like, I want to have kids in 5 years. They're at different stages. They're complete different stages of a relationship, of life. Does that mean they can't marry each other? Two 30-year-olds, one who has 5 kids and one who wants to have kids in the future, or one who has fully engaged in their career and the other person is still searching for their career? Does that mean that it's impossible for them to be in a relationship, and us from the outside can judge them and say, like, what's wrong with you? Two 30-year-olds at different stages of life? Like, how disgusting. No, that's ridiculous. People say, well, it can't work as a relationship. Statistics show that the larger the age difference, the more likely the relationship will end in divorce. It's unclear if that's because often when there's a large difference, it's someone's second, third, or fourth marriage. But even there, it's like, just because there's a higher chance of divorce doesn't mean that it's inherently, evil for two people to get married. And also, in the United States, half of marriages end in divorce. Does that mean that it's evil for anyone to get married? Because, you're pretty likely to end in divorce. So just because there's a slightly higher rate of divorce, that, it says something, but it doesn't mean that it's evil. The way that people talk about it, it's like it's inherently unhealthy, and it's maybe even evil. There's something wrong with it, like it's disgusting or something. And I'll say the third reason that often is being triggered in people. We have a good reason to worry about age difference when the person is 15 and the other person is 30, because there's a power difference, and often, if not all the time, there's exploitation and harm happening to the younger person. In those situations, when there's an age difference, we're like, hey, that's wrong. We don't need to know the circumstances. I don't need to hear any explanation. All I need to know is 15-year-old, 30-year-old, wrong. It is wrong. Okay. But we don't translate that to someone who's 30 and 60. Like, it's different. The 30-year-old person is supposedly able to protect themselves. The other thing is exploitation happens in relationships, and we need to do what we can to reduce that. But age difference isn't necessarily a factor. It might be, on average, maybe more 60-year-olds are exploiting. But do we believe that Jenny is exploiting Sumit? No, we don't see any evidence of that. So it's just, I'm feeling Jenny's frustration here.
Same exact spot, and they were sitting there throwing insults at me. It's just bringing it all back. All those, how am I supposed to be happy about them being here when all I can remember is them throwing insults at me and being so mean, and here they are starting it again.
ये गंदा काम है, ये गलत किया.
So let's do a little thought experiment. Let's say that Jenny was Sumit's age. That's the only difference. Everything about Jenny is the same. She's from the United States. And Jenny is Sumit's age. I don't know how old Sumit is, 30, 35 or something. So Jenny's the same age. Let's just say that. Is there any problem with the relationship? Is there anything wrong with the relationship? Now, maybe the mom could say, she's not Indian. She doesn't know Indian customs. She doesn't know how to cook Indian food. Who cares? Society might be racist against white people. Certainly that's not okay. And that's not a reason to disapprove of a marriage. If we take away the age difference, what's the complaint? I don't think there's any possible complaint. Okay. So back to the age difference. What's wrong with the age difference? Well, they can't have kids. Well, does Sumit want to have kids? Seemingly, he's okay to sacrifice that. Well, what if Jenny dies early? Well, you could die early at 30. What if Sumit met someone his age who had a genetic predisposition to, early onset cancer or something, or early onset Alzheimer's or something like that? Does that mean Sumit shouldn't marry her because there's a greater chance that she's going to die sooner than you do? Like, this whole thing is just absurd. And the way that she's treating Jenny, like, is that, now people will email or comment below and say, this is pretty normal. A lot of people actually emailed last week saying, I married into a family in India, and my mother-in-law was a tyrant and abused me and treated me terribly. Now, maybe it has to do with what I was saying earlier in terms of like this, when you abuse people, women, the mom, as she's growing up, she's being shoved into a box and abused and told you're worthless, you're not a good wife, you're not a good woman, you're not a proper Indian woman, and you're just beaten down, and eventually, like, you internalize all those messages, and sometimes you're going to become the perpetrator. So it's got to come from somewhere, or the mom was abused growing up just by parents that were terrible, and she just has this streak in her that she wants to harm other people or something. I don't know what's happening, but it's hard to watch the way that the mom is treating Jenny. Now, again, what people will say is, look, this is normal and it's just a part of the culture. And I just have to say, like, why? There's a lot of things about my culture that I similarly am like, why are we like that? It's not fair. It's not okay in terms of what I feel like is fair. And for those of you watching, like, is there any explanation for this? Like, do you have any conceptualization? Like, why would a society, if this is the norm, where mothers-in-law basically abuse their daughters-in-law, is there any justification for that? Let me know.
थोड़ा जेनी ना गलत कर रही है, नाक पहुंच के ना प्लेट में रख रही है.
Don't wipe your nose and put it in the plate.
ये हमारे यहाँ नहीं है, ये हम इस प्लेट को रख भी नहीं सकते, पता है?
Yeah, I have to say, if someone said that to me in my house, I'd say, get the F out. I'll put my tissue where you can be grossed out by it. You could say, ew, this is my house. I'm going to put my tissues where I want, and you can get the F out. And,
थोड़ा सा यही समझाना चाह रही हूँ मैं. डस्टबिन में डालना चाहिए.
Throw it into the dustbin.
Had enough. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, because just imagine, the thing I always think about, because the mom is sort of, I think, normalizing her behavior. She just keeps doing it. It just becomes like Angela and her behavior. It just becomes like background. You're like, oh, that's Angela. Oh, that's the mom. But just imagine you or I are in that situation where, and let's just even say we're grossed out by it. We're in someone else's house, and they use a tissue and they put it on the table. We might be like, yeah. But are you going to say something if you don't know that person very well? And then are you going to demand that they throw it away? You're going to, in someone else's house, you're going to be like, you are going to pick that up. Just imagine doing that at someone else's house. Is that okay in Indian culture? I can't imagine that that's okay. Indians, in my experience, are extremely polite, especially when they're in someone else's house. So, but does the mother-in-law thing override all politeness and fairness and decorum?
I was hoping for change, but this is the worst case scenario for this visit happening right now. Everything is going exactly as I knew it would, and I need them to go home. I'm gonna lose my There's no convincing these people. There's no getting them to understand. Their mind is just set. And that.
Yeah, if I was Jenny, I'd be done at this point. I'd be like, I'm never talking to the parents, especially the mom, ever again. We're done. Like, she's proven herself that she's, dug in. She's on a mission. She's never going to relent. She's abusive. She uses suicide threats as a way of manipulating other people, we're done. And I don't care. I don't care if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm supposed to be. Maybe there's something cultural here. Maybe I'm supposed to be more flexible. No, I'm done. If I was Jenny, I'd be like, we're done. Life is too short. And incidentally, I've been there before in my life. I've known people like that in my personal life, in my work life, and I do everything I can. And there's a point where I'm like, life is too short. And I guess, we use this show as a jumping off point. Think of yourself right now, especially you pleasers out there, especially you people who are very prone to pleasing others, being very nice. Think about if you have a Sumit's mom in your life, at work, among your friend group, and ask yourself, is this changeable? Maybe I could say something to him. If not, do you deserve that? Do you deserve to have boundaries? Do you deserve to say, you know what? Say la vie, we're done. And I'm going to do everything I can. And there's different strategies of moving people out of your life. You could just say, get out of my life, or you can just sort of slowly back your way out of the door, metaphorically speaking. But we all deserve that. And we don't deserve to be treated this way. We don't deserve that ongoing stress. Life is too short. Like, when you're on your deathbed, are you going to look back and say, oh, I feel so bad that I drew a boundary with that abusive person? Probably not. You're probably going to be like, I should have drawn, on your deathbed, you're going to be saying, I probably should have drawn boundaries sooner and more firm with a lot of people that were destructive to me in my life. I wish I would have, drawn a boundary with that person 10 years earlier. Or I wish I would have drawn a boundary with that person at all. You know what I mean? Now I'm on my deathbed. I'm like, why did I spend 10% of my life and energy trying to please that person that just never was an enhancement to my life? Let me know what you think in the comments. Have you drawn a boundary? Are you thinking about it? Let me know.
That's it.
All right. Well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself and take care of others, because we all deserve it. We really, really do.